here because I don't care what the man in the White House said. We love our press. So, One Chicago, powered by people. Today, you all know me as State Representative Lashawn K. Ford.
Yeah.
And while, oh, Mark, how you doing? Where you at? Now, I got to tell you, this campaign is all about making sure that we love everyone. And I know that people are listening, but I want everyone to know that Mark Carter is here supporting my campaign, and I appreciate it. Mark, thank you so much. We don't leave anyone out. We want everyone in. Mark Carter, thank you very much. Now, before I start speaking, there is something that I like to do that we have to do in Chicago, and that is sort of reshuffle the deck. Now, there are brothers here with dreadlocks. I want you right here. And brothers here that was a part of the re-entry community. Anybody that feel like you're a black man, that you've been left out, come right here. This is who I want, standing right here. This is what we got to do, reshuffle the deck. Let's let everybody know that everyone matters. Yes. One Chicago, powered by people. Today, as I said, you all know me as State Representative Lashawn K. Ford. And while that is true, I am at the heart a West Sider. Someone who has dealt with social and economic issues that plague so many families throughout our city. I was born in Cabrini Green and I grew up in Austin. I never knew my biological father, but I had a father in my life who meant a lot to me, and I love him. But he committed suicide. Like many families in Chicago, people in my family have struggled with heroin, mental health issues. Like many families in Chicago, my family has lost loved ones to AIDS. Like many families in Chicago, my family has lost young people to the streets of violence, and we have to deal with the criminal justice system in my family also. People in my family still struggle to find work after being jailed or in prison. We had a house fire when I was around 10 years old, and we moved to the back of the yards for a while. I always thought my mother was rich growing up because she knew how to rob Peter to pay Paul. We went to Catholic schools, always had meals to eat, had new outfits, and had lots of gifts at Christmas and birthdays. My mom taught and showed us by example that it is not how much money you make, but it is how wisely you spend what you make. Like many families across Chicago, white, black, or brown, my family struggled growing up, but we worked hard to pay those bills. I can remember my mother working overtime, sometimes doing double shifts, and then coming home to cook dinner and make lunches for the next day. I also remember the pride and dignity we had when we went to pick up her paycheck. So, I was fortunate to have love in my family and my church family to push me in school as I graduated from Loyola. Taught for 6 years in Chicago public schools, became a small business owner with my own West Side real estate company, employing lots of families in Chicago. But like many in Chicago, I had to be personally dealing with the criminal justice system when I was falsely accused of bank fraud.
Talk about it.
I had to fight 17 federal felony charges.
That's right.
After being offered many plea deals to take a felony and spend years in jail, all 17 felony counts were dropped on the day the I was fortunate that I had the support and the resources to fight the charges. But we know that there are so many innocent people who can't afford to fight their charges. I had challenges in my business too. At one point I had 6 real estate offices, 50 agents, but after the financial collapse in 2008, I had to fight to reinvent my business to survive like many businesses have to do today. Our city needs a mayor who can run a business, who has overcome challenges, who knows what real life is like, and who can help Chicago overcome challenges and become Chicago powered by the people. When I studied at Mayoral, teaching on the north side and selling homes in my real estate business, I saw firsthand that not only black families struggle, but we all struggle. Families struggle regardless of race, and that's why we must come together. For the last 12 years, I have had the honor of serving as state representative for the 8th District, serving as chair of restorative justice, chair of financial institutions, chair of small business empowerment and workforce development, and making tough budget decisions on appropriations committees for elementary and secondary education and human services. With the activism of many of you here today, working with the public and the private sectors, we have been able to achieve many successes, but there's still much more to do. What we want is really pretty simple. The people of Chicago want a seat at the table. The people of Chicago want a seat at the table. And our beloved city of Chicago should be financially stable, healthy, and safe. Right. And that is why I now announce that I am running to become the next mayor of the city of Chicago. What one Chicago feels like. Now, we know that Chicago needs healing. We know Chicago needs healing. We can no longer allow Chicago's zip codes to determine our life expectancy, our educational opportunities, and our ability to work our families out of poverty. We need to heal, and we can heal. Together, we can make one Chicago. When abandoned buildings, vacant lots, and vacant storefronts are turned into homes and businesses that pay taxes and create vibrant communities, this is what one Chicago feels like, powered by people. When murder cases are solved, illegal guns stop flowing into our neighborhoods and people feel safer in the communities. This is what one Chicago feels like. When good police officers don't stay silent, and when we have true police reform and real trust between the community and our police, this is what one Chicago feels like. When we have transparency in how laws are made and how taxes are instituted in Chicago, rather than pushing laws through city council without hearing or public comment, this is what one Chicago feels like. Now, of course, you all know I love Dr. King. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Racial understanding is something that we find, but something that we," I'm sorry, can't misquote Dr. King. Let's do that again. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, racial understanding is not something that we find, but something that we must create. When we acknowledge and confront systematic racism in this city, we can create healing between races, neighborhoods, religions, and classes. We become financially stable when we eliminate Jim Crow laws, when we eliminate income inequality, when we eliminate education inequalities, when we eliminate the cost of gunshot victims. We have to protect our families and our businesses from all the taxes, fees, and fines that drive people into poverty and impact landlords, homeowners, businesses, and the city's population. We must build a manufacturing and technology training center in Chicago. Chicago will lead the way in closing the skills gap in America. Chicago will not only have high-quality community colleges, we will have the best manufacturing and technology in the United States of America. We must spend our tax dollars to stimulate the rebuilding of the west and south sides of Chicago, creating jobs and opportunities. Chicago can move forward, grow and prosper only when all of Chicago is doing well, including the west and south sides. We need a mayor who personally understands the struggle of families and businesses, but at the same time knows the process and relationships in Springfield. JB and Juliana will be my partner. We need to make sure JB and Juliana knows that we will be in partnership to fight for everyday families in Chicago. I don't have all the answers. No one person does. Powered by people means that people must participate and work to make it happen. If we really want it, we can do it. Things don't get done because we elect officials.
Right.
They get done because the people make it happen.
Right.
President Johnson didn't make the civil rights legislation happen. It was voter pressure and action that made it happen. Marriage equality happened because people demanded it. Reverse cuts to children and child care happened because people demanded it. Now, this is the good one. There is a lot of talk about so many people being in the race for mayor of Chicago.
Yeah.
Now, I had to ask you to put your thinking caps on and ask yourself, if you were shopping for a car, you would probably do your research to find out if the car is reliable, dependable, and provides you needs for your family. When you do your research in the race for mayor, you will find out that for 12 years, we have helped thousands of people find jobs. We have changed the job application process for people with criminal backgrounds. We have helped thousands of ex-offenders seal their records. We have fought to give equal protection under law for women and those in the LGBT community. We have fought for humane treatment of immigrants. We have fought to restore $300 million in child care funding. We made possible the use of link cards at farmers markets. We passed laws that expand screening for HIV. We expanded small business entrepreneurship for ex-offenders, and we established heroin violence prevention task force to save lives. So after you do your research, it's time to ride with Ford. We can no longer believe that we can't catch killers in Chicago. We can no longer believe that all of the streets of Chicago can't be clean and free of litter. We can no longer believe that the injustice is what Chicago represents. We can no longer believe that the police and the people of Chicago can't get along. We can no longer believe that we can't do anything about the killing and drugs in Chicago. We can no longer believe that there is nothing we can do about men and women sleeping on our streets in Chicago. We can no longer believe that only some children can get high quality education. We can no longer believe that blacks can't qualify to be in the unions. We can no longer believe that people standing on the streets of Chicago prefer streets over jobs. We can no longer believe that the vacant lots and abandoned buildings are acceptable. Chicago is beautiful. Chicago is rich in resources. And in Chicago, no one will be left behind. Everyone in Chicago will learn. Everyone that's able to work will work. Everyone will be safe. And this is what One Chicago feels like. We can do this. We will do this. For the love of Chicago, together we can make One Chicago powered by people. Thank you very much. And I have to introduce, I know you guys have just wondered, now who is that beautiful girl back there? And this is Tia. She told me if I don't do a good job, she'll run against me. So say hi, Tia.
Who's Tia?
Oh, well, that's
his daughter.
Tia's my daughter. She is, how old are you, 11?
Nah.
14. Well, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Powered by people. We will power the city with our people. Thank you all for coming.
Wait. We have one more thing to say. We can't let all of you all leave thinking that we've already won the election, because we have not. We're going to need everybody in this room to be fully engaged in our campaign. So there are 3 ways. Okay. If your car is parked illegally outside, please tend to it. And really quickly, I do want to say the 3 ways you all can get involved. One thing is that we are looking for people who can dedicate their time to this campaign.